I'm Cesar Delgado from Back Roads of Illinois podcast. I am joining with Lori Stevemer from Blue Earth, Minnesota. Lori is the president elected of National Pork Producer Council. Lori is a pork producer of herself in Blue Earth, Minnesota. How are you doing, Lori? Welcome to join us for this afternoon.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you for having me, Caesar. I'm looking forward to visiting with you.
Let's start with the policy of the nppc and what is the priority for the pork producer in the United States, and especially in the Midwest, alongside in Iowa and your home state of Minnesota.
Sure. For individuals that may not be familiar with NPPC or the National Pork Producer Council, we're a voluntarily funded organization that focuses on public policy and international trade. And I would say as we look forward to this next year, there's three areas that we're focused on. First is foreign animal disease prevention and preparedness. There are some fun programs within the Farm Bill that has been extended, but we're still watching it closely, that help fund our national labs, they help fund our vaccine bank, and they help us prepare by having stockpile supplies that are needed in case there's disease outbreak. They also help fund the Beagle Brigade, which is an important part of what Customs and Border Patrol does. So that's a very important area to us. I would say the second area that we want to continue to focus on is expanding our existing trade and opening new markets. 25% of our pork is exported, so this is a very important area for us. And finally, the third area that we're focused on is labor. There is a shortage of labor in our industry, especially our farms in rural areas are often in counties that already have low unemployment. So we want to strengthen the H-2A program by allowing year-round workers.
Mexico. What is the impact of the U.S. pork producer? Could you explain to the audience about this issue?
I sure can. And international trade and exports is very important to our pork industry. I mentioned that 25% of our pork products are exported. That adds about $61 worth of value to each carcass or each head. So, especially in times like this where we've got some challenging prices and economics for our producers, having that export market is key. Mexico has been a very good market for the U.S. They're our number one export market in terms of both value and volume, and 40% of our hams go there. We have also seen growth in other areas, the Dominican Republic, South Korea, Southeast Asia. So always looking to uncover new markets. China has been an area that we've exported to in the past. Exports have been up and down, and actually have been down a little bit this last year. We are facing a 25% retaliatory tariff there. So we've got some trade barriers that prevent us from having more exports go there.
What effect of foreign animal diseases such like African swine fever? What do you recommend for the U.S. pork producer?
A disease like African swine fever, the foreign animal diseases that we talk about, would be very devastating to our industry because it would shut down our exports. So our trade would stop. And basically, we'd have to find room for that 25% extra pork products, which then, of course, affects our domestic market too. So, we've been working very hard with our trading partners, understanding, what's needed should there be a foreign animal disease. And one thing that they talk about is traceability and the need for us to know where the disease is and where it isn't. So we do work closely with our pork producers. This last year, we've discussed a mandatory traceability program. We've gotten input from all parts of the industry because that, as I mentioned, something like ASF or foreign animal disease is very devastating. Definitely encourage all of our producers to stay vigilant on their biosecurity, also to look at different programs regarding disease preparation and preparedness, and even take advantage of programs like US SHIP that help them be prepared should there be some type of foreign animal disease like ASF that becomes in the US.
Finally, what is your advice to the farmers about hog production?
Well, it has been a challenging year. 2023 has in terms of economics, and we know that there'll be some challenges in 2024 too. I see a word that I use that I do think describes our industry very well, and that's resilient. And if you look at the American farmer, especially the US pig farmers, we are resilient. So I would encourage people to stay resilient. But on the other hand, I would say keep doing the good things that you do. Continue to focus on efficient production, utilize the resources that you have, invest in your human capital and your employees, and continue to adapt innovation to raise safe, wholesome, nutritious protein that really makes us the most competitive swine industry in the world. People want US pork. So keep focusing on what you do. As I mentioned, stay vigilant against disease. Work hard on your biosecurity practices. Make sure your employees understand why that's key. And finally, I would say to producers, get involved with the industry. We need your voice, no matter what part of the industry you are. We need that voice, that diversity to be able to send our messages to our elected officials, to public officials, to help them understand what we do. Because that's what we're going to do as NPPC. We're going to continue to focus on your priorities and your freedom to operate, and leverage the strengths of the grassroots efforts we have by all the pork producers working together.
Is there anything would you like to go to tell our listeners about the Prop 12 in California for this moment?
You know, Prop 12 has been a challenge for us over the last couple of years, and it falls back under that freedom to operate and the fact that one state like California is telling all the other states how to raise pigs and not even using science at all. Producers are concerned about a patchwork of regulations. If California has one regulation, if Massachusetts has other regulations, what happens if more states have that patchwork? And that would make it challenging for us as producers because our pork goes to many different areas. Just want pork producers to know that we understand those challenges. We understand the uncertainty. There have been discussions about a federal preemption through the Farm Bill, and that's something that we're continuing to work on. But just want producers to know that California Prop 12 is challenging. It's challenging for the people within the state of California also. I mean, they're looking at a less supply of pork at potentially higher prices. And we hear that, and we're going to continue to be focused on that issue.
For this moment and the pork producer?
You know, not really. We need continued demand of our products and at prices that are that help our producers maintain their financial viability. So I would say that freedom to operate, that concern about excess regulations, whether it's public policy or environmental, is probably one of the number one things that I hear about from pork producers. That and disease like ASF.
My pleasure that you joined the show for today. Thanks. You're welcome to join the show anytime.
Well, thank you, Caesar. I would love to come back another time and talk to you more about the pork industry.
Thanks to be here on the show for this afternoon. This is Lori Stevemer. a president elected at National Pork Producer Council out of Blue Earth, Minnesota. Thanks to be here on the show for this afternoon from back roads of Illinois. I am Cesar Delgado. Have a good day.